Hello, my name is Genesis Garcia. This is my discussion board number 9 response. So, for this assignment, we had to explain 4 key points that we learned from the article and the video provided. So, the first one from the video that I chose was responsibility and who it fell on to use, like, the term that they used was generalization and whose responsibility it was to carry that out. So I think this was a really important part of it because it was the introduction of the video and it provided what the video was actually about, what it was going to be about. So basically it was explaining whose responsibility would be, whether the teacher or the student's responsibility, to use the generalization whenever they were taught something new. So to dive a little deeper into that, I want to explain the generalization definition. So, um, it's basically whenever somebody applies their new information that they've learned or new responses, new behavior responses to situations that are either new or similar, but they can apply that learned action and that learned knowledge and behavior onto another situation. So, for example, if a dog is conditioned to bark at at a certain toy, it can also like bark at different tones with different pitches at different toys. It's like something like that. It's basically like classical conditioning and help somebody adapt and learn new behaviors whenever they're being taught something, whether it's by a professor or by a peer. So the second point of the video that okay, in better terms, the second takeaway, key takeaway from the video was from the section of the video that said whose responsibility is generalization, which is connecting to the first key takeaway that I chose. In this one, they talked about how a lot of people have heard of this exam, like if this situation scenario, and they are like split 50-50. Like some people believe it's the teacher's responsibility and others believe it's the student's responsibility. um so they start talking about how ABA professionals should be specialized in helping students use like in helping students with that generalization after they're taught something new. They're like specialized in providing providing like, they said the certain word, but basically providing situations where they can use generalization. That way they are more comfortable with it, they get used to it, and they continue to use generalization in other topics when they're being taught stuff. So they also said that ABA professionals should be teaching skills and knowledge in certain ways and certain methods that students are able to take those thoughts and use them in a generalization method rather than struggling whenever they're taught something new because they're not sure how to apply that to generalization. Okay, and the article was the Super Tasters and Mighty Movers, a booster program for sustained behavior change in early elementary school. So the first key takeaway, or basically the third one, um, so before I say that one, basically the story was about educational enhancers and how there were surveys that were done for parents and students to show the respond the respondents of each student and how they viewed and how the educational enhancers were recalled from like by the students. So the third key takeaway that I found was how let me find that. was how the parents reported that children were encouraged by the educational enhancers to be active and to try new foods. I think that this proved a really big thing, especially for the people that were providing that to the students, because that's a really good thing to provide to a kid, like a really good way to enhance a child's activeness and for them to try new things like their new food. And obviously, kids are really picky about that kind of stuff. So I think that this was a key takeaway in this article because it showed a big turning point and it showed a good outcome from the experiment done. Okay, and the last one was the key takeaway from the article is the family component part of it. I think that with many people, many children, their family reinforcing and promoting these new program messages that they mentioned that came from school and were delivered um were really like just a big reinforcer and a big pusher on the students and on the children because it's their family providing them these ideas and their family reading these ideas as well. So I think that that also helped. They explained how the materials were mailed to each kid's home monthly, over 5 months. So, hmm, so they were personalized child newsletters. I think that that also provided to the effectiveness of um the Food Friends Super Taster and Mighty Mover Club because that was considered the family component, and I think that it made it a lot more effective, keeping it consistent for those 5 months, allowing the children to relate to that and just look forward, look up to that, therefore leading into the what I mentioned earlier, the results coming out in children having higher percentages of trying new foods and higher percentages of being active. Thank you.